and thanks for joining us from our studios in Tel Aviv. I'm Denise Wood here with ILTV's morning briefing from Israel.
Prime Minister Netanyahu is offering condolences to the families of the victims in yesterday's deadly terror attacks in Brussels. Netanyahu reportedly called Belgian Prime Minister Charles Michel last night to offer Israeli assistance in combating terror. The Islamic State group has claimed responsibility for the series of bombings yesterday at the Brussels airport and a metro station, which killed more than 30 people. Netanyahu says terror doesn't distinguish between countries, and the two leaders agreed to meet soon to discuss security matters. The Jewish community in Belgium has canceled Purim holiday celebrations. In the moments following the attacks, Jewish schools in Belgium were put on lockdown. The community issued a statement explaining the cancellations, saying they're grieving for the deaths, and it's not a time for risk or celebration. A year and a half after their hasty departure, UN peacekeepers are returning to the Israeli-Syrian border. The forces are preparing to disperse on the Syrian side of the border, which has been thrown into turmoil by the Syrian civil war. Jerusalem is hoping that the UN presence will help prevent hostile attacks and spillover into the Israeli side of the Golan Heights. In recent weeks, UN forces have begun visiting several facilities and vantage points, which they manned until their pullout in September 2014. The United Nations says it intends to deploy its observer force, which is composed of soldiers from 5 countries and has been on the Golan border since 1974. Israel doesn't expect UN troops to actively intervene, but says the mere presence of the forces makes it less likely that the UN Security Council would ignore hostile activities against the UN forces and against Israel. Israel's Minister for Strategic Affairs and Public Security, Gilad Erdan, says the BDS movement is a threat to the entire world and not only to Israel. Erdan claims the BDS movement is a threat to everyone who values human rights and freedom, and says the ultimate goal of BDS is to destroy Israel. Erdan told a group of about 50 foreign ambassadors that BDS activists bully international companies operating in Israel, attack stores selling Israeli goods, threaten universities hosting Israeli speakers, and intimidate artists planning to perform in Israel. Erdan even says their tactics use anti-Israeli propaganda that's as vicious and anti-Semitic as what was used by the Nazis. The Palestinian Authority has announced it's banning the top 5 Israeli food companies from being imported into the West Bank. The PA says the move comes in response to Israel's recent halt of imports from 5 Palestinian companies earlier this month. The products will be banned specifically from areas controlled by the Palestinian Authority within the West Bank. Israel's move earlier this month represents the first time since 2010 that West Bank goods have been prohibited from entering East Jerusalem.
That's all for now. I'm Denise Wood, and see you later with our main daily broadcast from Israel at 2 p.m. Eastern Time.